As we see, we're looking at how we can transform technical people into highly effective leaders. So the first thing is, how is a leader different from a manager? 领导跟经理最大的区别是什么？ Any suggestions? Yes. Okay. You have vision, strategy, okay. And manager?
Manager
Okay, details. Okay, operations, details, how you get things going. Okay, and great. Vision, strategy for leader, managers is about details, getting things done. Any other suggestions as well? 还没有额外的一些观点。That's right. 还有没有额外？
As a leader, is it person who can lead other person
Yes.
to do anything,
Yeah.
not necessarily manager. But
Okay.
manager is often a title of one.
Manager is a title. Excellent. Right. Manager basically is a job title. It's someone giving you the authority to be a manager. Whereas for leader, it's about whether the people around you, can be followers, subordinates, people of other department, even your boss, are they willing to do the things you would like them to do? Okay, that's a leader. Leader can be very informal, whereas manager are formal roles and authority. Right? And why we are looking into transforming, as what the title is saying, why we're looking into transforming technical people into highly effective leaders, not highly effective managers. It's because of this. A manager, you have the title. You can ask people to do certain things. You can be effective in that. But if you like your people, if you like your staff to go the extra mile, 如果你希望让你的团队更加能够敬业，更加能够付出多一些 you want them to do more for you, then you probably need to have more leadership skills to actually get things done better. Make sense? Yep. So there's some differences between management and leadership. So briefly, manager is extrinsic, it's external. You are given a title, you are given a formal authority. Leadership is intrinsic, it's within you, how you can actually influence other people. Manager is about behavioural, we talk about the details, getting things done. Leaders is about psychological, getting people to want to do things for you, motivating people, right? Especially motivating people without money. Right? Normally when we think about motivation for staff, 如果一般我们想到就是给员工做激励。The first thing that comes to a lot of people's minds is, how can I pay them more? 我们是不是能够加薪啊？是能够给多一点奖金啊？ Okay, these are one way of motivation, but as most of us are, 我们大部分如果当经理的话 we don't have the authority, we don't have the power to give salary increases. 我们大部分都没办法给人家加薪 right? So what we need to do is to think about how we can actually motivate without using money. Motivate without using promotion. 不在加薪升职的前提下怎么激励他人 So you got to think about the psychological aspect of your team. Management is on formal authority. Leadership doesn't have to be authority. Doesn't have to have the formal authority. Management is about more emphasis on what I think as a manager needs to be done. Leadership is more emphasis on what they are thinking and how can we align our goals with that. Now it doesn't mean that being a leader in this sense of definition 并不代表如果你是以这样子的一个定义作为一个领导 doesn't mean that it will be more superior. It's just a matter of how you actually combine this and this. You need both. Why? Because management, if you have too much of a management part, people may have resentment, resistance. 如果你管得太严，对方会怎么样？抗拒， They may 排斥 they may resist. Contingent setting, they may not think about other ways to do things. So you have people who will do things, but may lack initiative and may also have resistance. If you have too much of the leadership part, inspiring people, encouraging people, getting initiative, getting buy-in, sometimes too much of that, you can have no results. Okay, so in recent history, we have probably seen a lot of managers who are too much of this. 我们或许看到很多经理的那个管理的力度可能太大。We've seen a lot of those managers with too much management. What about leaders with too much leadership or too much inspirational leadership? Like think about this example, HP. Some years ago, HP has got this very inspirational CEO, Carly Fiorina. Right? A lot of people like her. A lot of people were very motivated. A lot of initiative. No results. Not good. So we need to have a combination of both. 两方面都需要一些。So what is then needed is that we also need to find out, since we're technical people going to managing people, we mentioned about dealing with people, we need more people skills rather than technical skills. So what do you think are the key difference between dealing with machines and dealing with people? 跟设备、跟机器打交道、跟人打交道的区别，或者最大区别是什么？ People have feelings, machines don't have, so you can kick the machine. Okay, so that's one way. Yes. Communication, in what way? Machines communicate too. Right? You type things into a machine, you communicate machines.
People have emotion.
People have emotion, feelings, yes. And as a result, what happens? Inaction. Oh, okay, the machine is not interacting. People interact, okay. Okay, machine will have react. Okay, so simply put, this is what happens with machine compared to people. For machines, if you have the same input, 你有同样的输入, and then if you put the machine into the same procedure, the same process, you will have the same output every single time. If you don't have the same output, what happens? The machine is faulty. Right? So that's with machines, right? What about people? You have the same inputs, you have the same process. What happens? Sometimes you don't have the same output. Sometimes you have the same output with the same person. Okay, and you don't know when you are going to have the same output. You don't know when you are not going to have the same output. So that's the unpredictability of people. And this is something that drives a lot of technical people turning into managers crazy. 这些事情会让很多的技术人员现在变成经理，就是感到很懊恼。Why? Because in the past, whatever you do, your technical skills are very good. You deal with machines. Whatever you get the machines to do, it will do it for you. Right? Whatever you want, the equipment, the machines, the computer, whatever you want it to do for you, it will get it done for you. Perfect. Right? When you want to get people to do things for you, it's a totally different kind of operating system. Right? There's a different operating system for people versus for machines. So that's that's a main difference. So what we need to do is to look into how we can actually go into the manual, right, the user manual of operating human beings, or typically how you actually get your team to do things for you. How you actually manage your team, motivate your team, get them be more committed, get them deliver results for you. So there's this tool called Belbin. Belbin is a person's name. There is a tool to find out what are the kinds of team members you have, what are the types of behaviors they can have, and how you can interact with them. Right. So this is what we do as a team role. Every one of us will have some kinds of preferred roles we want to play in a team. 我们每个人都在一个团队里面都会就是有某些团队行为的倾向。There's a preferred role. What do you mean by preferred role? We have a gentleman here who is folding your arms. So keep on folding your arms. Keep on folding your arms, right? Now, which hand is on top and which hand is below? 你只手在上面，你只手在下面。Right. Okay. So, can we all just experiment this? Just fold arms. Now, what I want you to do is to rotate your arms a few times and see if the other hand can actually go on top. We do that? Just fold your arms, see which hand is on top, and then rotate a few times and see. Right. Yeah. And this is what it actually means. Okay, these are preferred roles. There are certain roles that we prefer to get into. It doesn't mean that we cannot play other roles. We can. But there's a preference in us to play certain roles. Make sense? Just like folding arms. You can put the other hand on top, but 有些别扭, kind of feel awkward, right? So these are the preferred roles, and different people has got different preferred roles. Right? Just have that in mind. How this preferred roles come about? This is not very clear, so I'll just read it to you. There are a few influences in how we play our role. One is, of course, our personality, 我们性格, 我们个性. Certain people are more extroverted, certain people are more introverted. 有些人比较外向，有些人比较内向等等. Some people are more detail oriented, some people are more big picture oriented or creative oriented, and so on. This is personality. But personality is only one part. The other thing is you learn on your role. In the past, when you were a technical manager or technical person, there are certain roles you learn about how to do a technical job well. Now you are a technical manager. You're an engineering manager, or and technical can be financial as well. It can be a financial controller, financial manager. Now you in a new role, you also learn more things on how you can succeed on the role. So you actually learn different things. This also applies in your everyday life, right? In the past, you were single. Now you're married, and you need to learn how to adapt to your other half, right? And after a while, you have a child, you have a baby. So you have different roles to play about. You have different roles to learn, and that shapes your behavior as well. There are some external influences, like money, like promotion, or even things like corporate culture. Your company's culture can actually have an influence on you. Your personal experience, you grew up, you learn something, you learn whatever you learn in school, your training, that's your experience will shape your behavior. Your values and motivators, 你个人的价值观, that will shape your behavior as well. What is wrong, what is right, those kind of things will shape your behavior. Your mental abilities, your IQ, right, or even your EQ, your mental abilities, that will shape your behavior as well. So these are some of the factors that will shape your behavior. One thing to know is that your team behavior and your personality are two different things. So when we talk about the roles, and especially if we have a chance to do the assessments on what kind of role you play, this is not a personality test. This personality is only part of the picture. Your role, your preferred team role will change when your team changes, or may change when your team changes. So depending on your team, how you interact with this team, that team role may change. Make sense? Right? So it's not fixed. It's not even personality. Personality is only part one of the 6 different influences. So if you want to know how you behave in your team, you may want to do the assessment or look into things in the context of how you interact with the current team. Right? So this is how we look at things. Also, what we look into, and if you want to be effective technical leader, or effective leader for that matter, what you need to do is to think of this. There is no perfect individual. There's only a perfect team. Right? What do I mean by that? No perfect individual. Perfect individual could be described as you're outgoing and organized and motivating and creative and hard driving for results, very objective, very diplomatic, very meticulous, detail-oriented, and very knowledgeable. Any one of us here can do all of this? Come on. Anyone you know that can do all of this? No. If you can do all of this, you're not human. You're superhuman. Right? So it's impossible. Even if you can do all of this, we said that we can go into different roles, right? Assuming that you can do all of these roles, you may not even have the time to do all of them in your current role. 就算你真的是全能，你也未必能够在你的这个工作上，在有限的时间里面把所有的能力全部展现出来。You don't have, right? So you're unlikely to find all the qualities in one person. We have to look for different types of people to fill in different roles. Now, having said that, the next question is, why some teams succeed while others fail? 为什么有些团队能成？为什么有些团队失败？ Why some teams succeed and why others fail? Any suggestions? Maybe there's no leader. Okay, what else? Just make a guess. But you don't have to be so serious. You can think about football teams if you want to. There are teams too. Okay, 可以足球、篮球团队，什么团队都可以。为什么有些团队成，有些团队失败 ？Why? Especially football. I like to talk about football with the Chinese audience. 就是像跟中国观众说一些关于中国足球的事情。Right. What if you look into individual footballers, individual Chinese footballers? Right, do we have Chinese footballers who are playing in international top club level? 有吗？我们有没有国内有没有足球员在国外的顶级联赛踢球？现在没有了，过去有。
对啊，不是顶级啊。没有英超啊，
以前有
过甲组啊，
范志毅，
我是英甲，
孙继海啊，有孙继海先，曾经有过啊，包括李铁啊，在 Everton 啊都有啊，这过去有，现在也有一些就是到国外去。We got some pretty good footballers. Okay, so whether they are in the top international clubs or not, we don't know, but definitely they are playing in some of the better clubs around the world. Agree? What happens when they come together to play for China? 这些球员他们本来不是到一些国外一些比较好的球会踢球吗？你把这么好的球员结合在一块儿来为国家踢球，结果怎么样？是Why that happens? What happened? Right, so some of the things is, and this is based on research, why some teams succeed and others fail. Some of the team failure reason may not have to do with Chinese football, but teams in general. Right, the teams being too homogeneous. What I mean by teams being too homogeneous, everybody in the team has got the same level of skills, or the same roles, or the same preference, the same personality. Everyone is like a clone of one another. So you have the same kind of people. So for example, I believe some of you work in R&D. 研发中心的什么 R&D, right? Oh, well, a few. R&D. Normally, what will be the typical R&D person?
So complex.
Yeah. Sorry.
They're more or less introverted. They do not communicate.
They introvert. They don't communicate. Well, basically, we call them specialists. Right? If you're R&D, you need to be a specialist. Usually, you need to be drilled down deep into a topic and find out more about that and do research on those topics. So it's a very specialist role. But what happens when everybody in the R&D team is a specialist? What will happen? It turns out boring. Well, it can be boring. You mentioned about specialists being not wanting to communicate much, introvert. If you have a team that is all are very introverted and don't communicate much, what will happen? Why no result?
Or maybe
Basically, in a team, I don't know what they're doing because I'm so specialized in what I'm doing. You don't know what I'm doing because you're also very specialized in what you're doing. Right? But the whole team doesn't know what other people are doing or what their needs are if you want to commercialize your products. The outside world also don't know what you're doing and may not be able to provide your resources, funding, more people, and so on. Okay, so if you have too much of the same type of role in a team, that's bad. And this research shows that when team becomes too homogeneous, everybody is a clone of one another, the team tends to have very poor results as compared to if you just get the individual to work alone. So that's based on research, that's based on a lot of survey. So that's one key reason. Number two, team members unable to leverage the strengths of one another. You work as a team, different people has got different strengths. Even within the same role, they got the same different type of strengths. Are you able to leverage the strengths of one another? Together with number two is this, team members getting bogged down by each other's weaknesses. We tend to complain about different people's weaknesses. You know, that person is too detail oriented. We already give him everything. Why is he complaining that it's not enough details? Right, that other person, he gave ideas that are not practical. Ideas that that can only happen in your dreams. Why is he not practical enough? Okay, so we got different complaints about each other's weaknesses and not thinking about how we can actually leverage on the strengths. That's the third one. Team members not having the right profile to do the right job. Sometimes managers, when they hire people, managers hire people. How do managers hire people? Managers usually hire people based on the people who are like themselves. 一般经理不是所有经理，一般经理 most managers, but not all. Many managers hire people based on people who are just like them. 一些经理有时候在招人的时候会招一些跟他自己的行为、想法、性格类似的。Right? Because the manager will think that if I can do the job well, then I should hire more of the people like me. Then we got more people like me, then we can do the job very well. Okay, that is a logic. Not true. It's about how you want to have the right person to fit the right role. Okay, so if you have the wrong person to fit the role, the wrong role, it's going to be different. It's going to be bad. For example, let's go into R&D again. Most of R&D are very technical, very detailed, very specialized. Right? What happens if, in order to expand your R&D facility, you also need to research or develop some brand new ideas. You need to make some breakthrough technology or innovation. Can you still rely on a specialist type thinking person to inject in you new ideas and new innovation? You want new ideas, 天马行空 ideas. You want something that's new, total breakthrough. Innovative. Can you get someone who is, like what you said, introverted, doesn't communicate well, focus on only what you're doing? Can that person give you a lot of new ideas? Unlikely, right? So if you want to steer your team into a different direction, you probably need to get someone of a different profile and work with that someone well, so that you can actually have better results. So, any other reasons? Besides this, 还有没有其他的原因？为什么一个团队做得好？ You mentioned about no team leader. What about no team leader? The leaders cannot manage members very well, right? The leaders don't know how to motivate members. more importantly, someone in someone in social media said this: 明君易找. Sorry, not 明君易找，良臣易找，明君难求. It's easier to find capable ministers, capable generals. It's a lot harder to find, or I don't say capable, but an enlightened king or emperor. Right? So it's sometimes the leader needs to know what are the roles of your team members. How can I put the right person in the right role? How can I communicate with them so that I can get the best out of them? How can I facilitate the communication between them so that they don't kill each other? Right? So these are some of the things that a leader has to do. Right? You've got great people, but if the leader is not effective, then the great people, the good people, may not be able to do the job well. So the basic principle is that the effectiveness of the team depends on the extent which members correctly recognize and adjust themselves to the relative strengths within the team. That's what I mentioned. You need to leverage on the strengths. The leader needs to leverage on your strengths. You need to communicate well with the leader on how you can play the best role for you. Okay, so how do we do that? Now, there are 9 roles. We won't go into the exercise of actually going into what are some roles that are required in a team. Just go into some roles into this model. Now, there are actually 9 roles, and to make it easier, there are 3 categories. There are thinking roles, there is the social roles, and there is the action roles. 我们一共有9个不同的一个团队角色。那为了方便我们记忆，我们一共有3个分组，一个是思考方面的角色，一个是人际关系方面的社交方面的，一个呢是行动方面，行为行动方面的。So, thinking roles, the first one is the plant. Why the plant? Plant is something that grows. So plant is the idea person. These are the people, basically, who actually are creative, imaginative, original, get alternative approaches. These are people who give you crazy ideas. Most of these ideas are impractical. 这些都是点子很多人，大部分点子都不实用。Most of ideas are crazy. They're not practical at all. But a few of them are gems. A few of them are going to be winning ideas. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics. They are preoccupied by thoughts. They are always thinking and may not be communicative. Now, you may think that someone with a lot of ideas like to communicate with people. May not be. Sometimes they want to think a lot of ideas, and they also are not good in communicating their ideas. 他们有很好的点子，他们想要跟我们来解释一下他们想的一些点子到底是什么回事，他们连这方面的一些沟通能力都不一定有。So this are parts. Idea people, we need them. The moment you have the idea, you may the other thinking part is that you need to have some specialization. You need to drill down into some ideas. So these are single-minded, motivated by the pursuit of knowledge people. One narrow area, drill down really deeply, know a lot of things about those specialization. 专业人员，专业师 very much specialized in the job. Some of the weaknesses that contributes on a narrow front and dwells on technicalities. 思维太狭窄，太过纠结，技术方面太纠结。So these are specialist type people. Thirdly is the monitor evaluator. Right? Strengths is you are logical, analytical, discerning, makes decisions based on facts. These are the people, when the plant gives them an idea, they will sit down, they will nod, they'll listen very closely. 10 minutes later, they'll tell you why the idea will work, why it will not work, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. These are the ones who are able to analyze the whole situation. 审裁员 They'll calibrate and actually find out what will work, what won't work. They will appear to be slow-moving, less drive, and may appear uninspiring. because they need time to process information. So you can tell them a joke. 你可以跟他们说笑话。10分钟过去了，他突然笑。Okay, so they need time to process that information. So they're slower, they're more deliberate. They want to see some pros and cons of different things before they make a decision. So if they are taken to the extreme, they may seem to be lacking drive, 没有推动力, right? And uninspiring. These are people on the outside. They're very quiet. They don't have much of an expression. They don't seem to show whether they are happy, sad, angry. 好像喜怒哀乐都没有七情六欲. Right? They have that Zen-like calm existence. Very calm and see things on a calm, deliberate way. And from the outside can see things like this. These are thinking roles. And the next three are the social roles. Social roles. The first one, these are people who like to deal with other people. The first one is called resource investigator. What do I mean by resource investigator? They are enthusiastic, they're communicative, they explore opportunities, develop contacts. Early in the morning, is there someone here who comes around and start giving out name cards? Right, so these are people who tend to have kind of a resource investigator behavior. Okay, these are people who want to find out, what are you doing? Are there opportunities that we can share? Right, they will create opportunities and seize opportunities and get ideas from the outside. These are also people with a lot of ideas, but not their own ideas. They tend to use other people's ideas. So they like to talk about ideas, they like to get ideas from the outside. Now, they can be overly optimistic, easily bored, and lose interest quickly. They like action, like going on, like very outgoing, very extroverted, like to talk to people, like to explore opportunities and seize opportunities. So that's why they're called a resource investigator. 中文叫做外交官外交人，对外很喜欢找外面的一些方方面面的信息啊机会。Next one is called coordinator 协调员。What does coordinator do? They are calm, confident, clarifying goals, promotes joint decision making. These are people who get people together. If there's a thing that we need people to do, they'll get people together. And they are very good in delegating the right job to the right person. If they're a people person, they get people together, get jobs, split the job out, and delegate to one another, provide direction for people to move in the right direction. Right? So, even for something as technical as R&D, 研发部门啊，非常专业, you also need some people like this, coordinator. Right? Most of people in R&D are specialists, but sometimes you need a coordinator. Why? Then you can actually put the right person, the right team on the right projects. They know how to allocate people, they know how to delegate tasks. On the flip side, if they're not careful, every role has got strengths and weaknesses. The weakness can be seen as manipulative. 操纵性. Okay, so they can manipulate people. They can also offload personal work because they know how to delegate. So they delegate their own work to someone else. 他们很会就是什么，就让别人来做事，然后把自己那一份给让别人做出，这就不干。Sometimes they do that. Sometimes we see a lot of the negative side of the coordinator way. What kind of companies, what kind of organizations has got a lot of coordinators, and sometimes on the negative side? 什么样的企业，什么样的一些组织结构，我们这种协调人很多，而且负面的行为也会比较多。遇到什么事情，把事情分给人做，分完之后自己工作。什么样的一些组织还是企业，还是单位？国营单位。Right, we see that 国营单位事业单位。Right, we see that a lot. They're very nice people, very appearing to be helpful, and after a while, it's like someone else do the job. I don't need to do anything. Right, so those are weaknesses and it can be changed. Team worker. Team worker is different from team player. A team worker is a specific role that we'll explain later. Team player is everybody is a team player and has to be a team player. Right? We need to have a sense of what the team goals are. We need to do things for the team. So that's a team player. Whereas for team worker 中文我们翻译成凝聚者。为什么叫凝聚者呢？ These are the people who are cooperative, caring, diplomatic. Why diplomatic? They don't want to hurt feelings. Right? Whatever bad news it is, they want to make sure that you are okay, you're all right. We get along well with one another. They are supportive, sensitive, and want to avoid friction. Sometimes some teams doesn't have this kind of people. And what do you think will happen? 如果你的团队没有这样的人，会怎么样？ Team worker avoids friction, takes care of one another, nice people. And if you don't have such nice people in the team, what will happen? Yes. No harmony. People will fight. Right? So you have very explosive teams, right? So these are people who will actually cool the temperatures in the team, make sure people are nice, you have the feeling, emotion side, maybe indecisive when faced with tough decisions. Now, again, if you are an R&D team, besides that things may be explosive, people may not get along with one another, why do you think R&D teams sometimes need a team worker? R&D teams basically are for technical specialists, they do a technical work, they do a detail-oriented work. Why do you think R&D teams also need a team worker sometimes? Sorry? They are still people. R&D people are still people. They have feelings, right? They need someone to specify them. Especially when. Is R&D work a high stress or low stress work? High stress work. Anyone who says R&D is a low stress work, let me know. I'll tell the boss. R&D is definitely high stress. Right? There's a lot of deadlines, a lot of there's a lot of things to take care of. It's a high stress work. We work long hours. We put in a lot of time and effort. The moment you have high stress, what will happen to your emotion? Good or bad? 如果你压力大，你的那个情绪会怎么样？好还是不好？肯定不好。So you have temper flares. You become impatient. You get easily irritated or agitated. So sometimes, if you have adequate team workers in that kind of situation, it will help you to feel more appreciated. It will help you to cool down your tempers a bit. There'll be someone to pacify you. Right? So this is probably the most unrelated role to an R&D, but still you need them. And not a lot of them, but a few of them. Okay, so this is a team worker, and action roles. The first one is action oriented. The first one is called implementer, 执行者. These are the disciplined, organized, efficient guys turns ideas into action. Whatever strange ideas or practical ideas that the plant or the resource investigator has, they can turn the ideas into action, an action plan. Right? They are good in implementing plans. They are good in executing the plans. Okay, so action plan is very good. Somewhat inflexible, slow to respond to new ideas and approaches. So they are thinking about committing to their plan. They hate to change their plan. They hate to change their course of action. So these are the implementers. Completer finisher, second type. These are the accurate, conscientious, meticulous perfectionists. 完美主义者. Completer finisher is what we call 完成者. They will look into the details and what we call the quality of the work. Usually, they are also very time focused. They want to make sure that things finish on time. But do they actually finish on time? 通常这些人啊，都很注重时间，都希望事情都按照时间流程来完成。但他们实际上会不会 按照时间来完成事情。不会 ，Why not? They want it perfect. If it's not perfect, they'll extend the deadline. Okay, so these are perfectionists. These are also the people who likes to worry unduly. Is this something I did wrong? Is it not perfect yet? Are you sure it's perfect? So they like to worry unduly. They also are unlikely to delegate. They don't like to give work to other people to do. Why? 他不喜欢就是把事情就交给别人做，不喜欢授权。Why? They're perfectionists, so don't even think of this. They don't trust others because, well, firstly, they will think that if I get other people to do, they will not do it as good as I do it. Because I'm perfect, right? Or I strive to be perfect. Number one. Number two is you don't trust others. When you get someone else to do, and once in a while that someone did not do a good job. 把事情交给对方了，对方很遗憾的掉链子。What will happen? We have this similar conversations with a few of such people. We ask them, when was the last time you delegated? 上一次授权给他是什么时候？ And for this particular person, they say that this person said that was in 2008 May. Right? They can remember when. I had this job I sent to that someone, and he screwed it up. He did it very badly. Right? And after that, I found that people cannot be trusted. I will not delegate again. Okay, so these are some of the key types of people, key types of behavior of continuous vision. Shaper, 中文叫鞭策者，鞭策者。The symbol is actually a whip. So these are people who actually challenging, dynamic, goal-oriented, drive, courage. They will get people get moving, get things done. Very goal-focused, very target-focused. Right? These are the objective-oriented person, results-oriented person. Weakness is they always like to fight. You must give them a challenging job because they like to have battles to fight. If the job is not challenging enough, they will fight someone else. Right? So they are prone to provocation. They sometimes will fight when there's no need to fight or they don't have to fight, and they can be blunt and upset people. These are what we call equal opportunity offenders. 什么人都会得罪，什么人都敢得罪，什么人都会得罪。They're very straightforward. They just want to get things done. So they are very what I call key drivers. They drive themselves. They drive other people. Sometimes they drive people crazy. Okay, so these are the kinds of people. Sorry, Steve Jobs. Yeah, to a certain extent, Steve Jobs is a shaker. And the thing is that we usually have 2 to 3, sometimes 4 dominant roles. Right, you usually have 2 to 3 different roles that we are comfortable with and we play most of the time. It's not just one particular role. Right? Steve Jobs would say is a shaker. Which other criteria? What else do you think Steve Jobs is? Orders, yeah, that's a shaker. The one who gives orders, gets very blunt. Someone mentioned shit. Sorry to mention that in breakfast. But to Steve Jobs, anyone who gives him the first draft of the project, he has to do something. Right? You show him your first draft, your first sample, and his first response is, "This is shit." That's Steve Jobs, a very, very shaker. What else? Yes.
He knew what he wanted for his result. He screened people.
Yes.
Said, I don't care how you do it. Just do it.
Yes. So this is shaker. What else? I don't care how you do it. Just do it. If not, you're fired. Okay. So drive people crazy. What else? Steve Jobs good at? Steve Jobs, in a way, is also a complete finisher. There's a focus on perfection. There's a focus on details. Right down to when he opened the first Apple store. Being a CEO of a huge company, he actually inspects that Apple store, and true to how Steve Jobs does things, get the floor tiles to be replaced. Why? Because the initial floor tiles, 地板, is too easily dirtied by dirty shoes. 你的鞋子如果脏，你踩到那个地板，地板就变黑了。So he saw that and get it replaced and said that we will extend the deadline. We will open later, change the flooring. So that's Steve Jobs. You can see those in Steve Jobs. Right? So that's how we got iPhones. Right? So we got things like this. Now, we, in a way to make ourselves easier to understand the roles, we can also see them in diagrammatic manner. So I'm going to try to draw a circle with 8 sides. If you are the perfectionist, completer, finisher, you will say that this is not a circle, it's not round enough. But please forgive me. Okay, so this is the shape. So we have, I'll use abbreviation. PL stands for plant, an ideal person, right? So we have the plant, and the opposite of the plant. What do you mean is the opposite of plant? Is the implementer, right? So this guy has got crazy ideas. This guy is always trying to put the ideas into practicality. Okay, so so this is implement. Okay, so let me double check with my. Just want to make sure I get the right things. Also, we have the Steve Jobs, very fierce person, very order-taking person. We have the shaper, right? And what the shaper does is to drive. Not driving car, more like driving the process, driving actions. 驱动，动力十足。And the opposite of a driver, the opposite of someone who gives orders is what? 如果说有个人都是发号施令的，那他的那个道理会是什么 ？Action。做事情不是讲做事。Team worker, yeah. Right, because this guy's support. Now, it doesn't mean that the shaper cannot work with the team worker because they're opposites. In fact, sometimes they can work very closely. Right? It's just that they got characteristics that are what I call diametrically different from them. 只不过是对方很多有些特征跟自己恰恰是相反。Now, think about this. If you want to understand this, sometimes you can also think about boy and girl, man and woman. How many of you are married? Right, almost all. If you want to describe your husband or your wife, how would you describe to other people? How would you introduce your husband or wife to other people? There are many ways. Just to cut down to the easier part, you usually call them your other half. Right? 你的另外一半。为什么叫另外一半？为什么你的那个先生太太你的爱人，为什么叫称作另外一半？There is in love, there is this in romantic love, there is this thing called opposites attract. You're attracted to someone on the opposite. So sometimes if you interview, if you ask people who just got married, 如果去问那些刚刚结婚的人 right? They will say that, oh, I finally found my other half. I finally found what is missing in me, because the opposite is usually missing in you. Okay, so that's the beginning of a marriage, right? 10 years later, what happened? You also could not stand what is different from you as well. So it's not always the case that they could not work. It's not always the case that they can work. It's about how you actually, like what we said earlier, how can you see their strengths and leverage on the strengths and not get bogged down by their weaknesses. Okay, so between the two of them. Okay, what else is there? We have SP is the specialist. So this guy specializes. And the other one is the opposite of specialize is to generalize. CO is the coordinator. So these guys don't really just specialize in anything, they get other people to do things. So they themselves, in a way, may not know anything or anything deep, but they do know how to get the right people to do the right thing. So these are coordinators. And we have the perfectionists who wants to perfect something, who wants to make an existing thing to become perfect. And you have the resource investigator, who basically wants to have opportunities. So we're not saying that the resource investigator is not perfect. Is that the guys who seek perfection seeks perfection in a defined space within an existing system. How can I keep on making this better and become perfect? These guys say that this is the existing system. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in new ideas, new ways of doing things. I want to see the outside world. Okay, so this is why they are diametrically opposite. Now, there is one role that's missing here that is not an opposite of anyone, and that is the ME, the monitor evaluator, 审裁员. This guy is analyze. Okay, this is not an opposite of any role. They will analyze things, they will see things, deliver it further, and then they make decisions slowly. Or sometimes they don't make decisions at all. But sometimes it's quite difficult to deal with the ME, the monitor evaluator boss. This is what happens. We have a meeting, and then the specialists, the plants, and other people will present different ideas. Then these guys will sit down and nod, and then start criticizing the weaknesses of different ideas. Then you ask the boss, who is the monitor evaluator, so boss, if you think this is a bad idea, what should we do now? Guess what is the response? I don't know. Why don't you come up with a next best idea? Then you come up with the next best idea again. And then what it does, you say, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, it won't work. Then you ask boss, what should we do? I don't know. Why don't you come up with the next best idea? And then it goes on and on and on. It never ends. There's no decision. Okay, so understanding these roles, before we can actually leverage on strength, sometimes we also need to know what could be a possible weakness of our own role. Right? Do we kind of display some of those weaknesses that we probably need to be aware of and do less of? Okay, so this is what we want to do as an activity. We've got flip charts. for this morning. We've got markers on the table. So in the next, we've got time. In the next 15 minutes, we'll give you more time. We have explained the role. Before we go into the real assessments, if you want to go without going to the real assessments, if you want to make a guess of which role is your dominant role, right? You can have a discussion and write your roles on the flip chart. So you can also draw a diagram like this, and then just name your name below. What you need to do is just make a guess of what you think, you personally think, of what are the two most dominant roles of yourself. Remember, this kind of roles. If you can have questions, ask me, or I'll give you more elaboration. Draw a diagram like this, and then use a different color. It can be blue or red. And just write your name below the roles, and we'll see what kind of teams that can make. It doesn't matter if you got it wrong because we don't have the real assessment. It didn't matter. We'll come back and then we'll analyze if that is a real team. What are some of the strengths and what are some of the weaknesses of that team with everybody in there? Okay, so I'm going to write my own. Name on this chart as well. So this is based on tests. My first role is I'm the resource investigator, and I'm the nasty Steve Jobs. This is horrible shaker. Okay, and this is based on tests. So we don't have a test for assessments for all of us here. If you were to make a guess, if after understanding some of this, make a guess what will be your two most dominant roles, and just write the name there. Is that okay? Two. Yeah. Just two will do. You don't have to think about all night. That will drive you crazy. Just think about two. The two that describes you most. May not be fully accurate, didn't matter. Just use your deduction. Okay, so can the teams, someone from the other two tables help me to draw this on your respective flip charts, and then start to just place where you are on the wall. 最左这边有，我也指最左这边有。Okay, 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll look into what are the strengths. This group you are lucky. You see, people who, if you sit in an airplane, the first rows are what? 如果你是搭飞机，前面几排是什么舱位？ First class. That's why. So they've got their charts drawn for them. It's first class. Special service. So economy class. Sorry, you have to draw your own charts. Okay. So 15 minutes, and we'll see the result. We'll see the kind of roles you have later.